Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Teddie Winder-Haron from yours truly to the podcast. The new Yours Truly record, Toxic, is out now on UNFD Records. Teddie talks about sneaking out to go to shows, how a school music program led to the formation of Yours Truly, releasing music during lockdown and finding new ways to give albums a second life, his mental state around the time Toxic was being worked on, and more. As I always do, I want to say thanks so much for listening to this episode of As the Story Grows. This year of the podcast has been so special to me, and I've enjoyed it, and I just want to thank you, the listener, for making it possible for me to do this podcast. If you're new to the show, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find links in the show notes or over at asthestorygrows.com to the podcast community, our mailing list, and the Patreon page. Patreon members at $1 a month get early access to every episode. We have a few new comments that I'm going to read over on YouTube. MC New 77 wrote, "Wild. We may be the same person. Grew up allowed any genre as long as it was Christian music, and one day at Lifeway, I picked up the Penalty Box 5 compilation. That one comp album opened me up to so many genres and changed my view on music. Led me to percussion, led me to my first concert, My Children, My Bride, and eventually led me to secular music where my mind was blown. I think you hit it on the head when you talk about Christian music. It did serve a purpose and did make me who I am today musically, but thank goodness I escaped to other music for sure. Was searching for the Penalty Box 5 album today and saw your podcast. Made me really happy to hear. I love connecting with people even in such that small way, and thank you for that comment. I appreciate it." And then we got a new Apple Podcast comment. KRM01 wrote, "A great show with the great host. I love the interview with Rory from And So I Watch You From Afar. I just saw them open for Caspian, was blown away." Thanks. You can leave a comment and I will read it on the podcast. Enjoy today's chat with Teddie from yours truly. I guess technically you're a day ahead of me.
Yeah.
Good times. Are you in Sydney?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, I've grown up in Sydney. I've been here my whole life.
Nice.
I was born in Brisbane. I was there for 6 months.
Okay.
I've been living in Sydney pretty much the rest of my life.
Nice. It's currently winter over there, right?
Yes, it is very cold.
Very cold.
Yeah.
That's funny because it is currently just incredibly way too hot over here.
Yeah. Look, I'm not complaining though. I'd much rather be cold than hot.
Me too. It's been quite miserable recently.
I could imagine.
Yeah. I'm stoked to have you on. What was growing up like?
I was in regards to to music or to just growing up in Sydney in general.
Just in general, yeah.
It's a pretty cool place to live. It's especially with the amount of public transport we've got. You can pretty much get anywhere pretty easily from the age of when your parents will let you kind of go out and do your own thing. So I was always had the access to go out and do stuff with friends on the weekend because you can just jump on a train, meet up with your friends somewhere.
Nice.
Which was always fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that part of the culture, just little kids hanging out, taking public transportation everywhere?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Especially now it's school holidays. Just everywhere you go, there's if you're catching public transport, there will be a group of kids on your bus or on your train. They're probably hanging out at the train station. Nice. I work at a shopping mall, and it's just kids hanging out there. They're not even shopping. They're just hanging out.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah, as you do. Yeah.
Or as you used to do.
Yeah.
What got you into music?
I remember like my dad had this old iPod that he gifted me for my birthday, and he couldn't, for some reason, he like left a song on it, and it was "Freak" by Silverchair.
Okay.
And I just remember just falling in love with just like how like angry but not like necessarily aggressive. Like it was just like so much power behind the vocals, the guitars, and especially the drums. And not long after that, I picked up drums and started playing, and I was just like, I want to play this. And I started listening to more and more like punk kind of music, and I just wanted to. I remember going to all my drum teachers, and they're all not really sure what to do because they're all kind of like your school teachers trying to teach you jazz and stuff. And I was like, this is great, but like I want to learn how to do like double kicks and stuff. I want to go hard. I want to hit as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And then my parents bought me a drum kit, and I remember going up and down the street, talking to all of my neighbors to make sure like what times I could like just play my heart out and not. And I was just, and every chance I had, I just would sit in the garage, just mashing away until I physically couldn't anymore.
Nice. At what point were you like, okay, I need to form a band? Or
not long after. Yeah. Not long after that, I found just like the other kids in the school band. Just like I got like some over, and just like a friend, he just like picked up a guitar, and we just started jamming together. Like this was when I was like maybe in like third grade or something. Just we even had like our neighbor from across the road as our manager. Yeah, but no, just it was just jamming in a garage just with a couple of mates, and I just fell in love with it from there. And yeah, like it's always been a part of me, I guess.
Nice. What was the music scene like in Sydney? Was there a good local scene, or like, I mean, I don't know how often national acts came. I've talked to a couple Australian artists pretty recently, but nobody from Sydney. So
yeah, I guess it's kind of hard for me to say from like that young age, because my parents would not let me go to shows until I was a bit older. I wasn't really allowed to start going to concerts like or anything regularly until I was about 17 or 18. Yeah. But I snuck into a few when I was about 15 or 16. But there was always like some local bands coming through, playing at like youth centers. I don't know if you've heard of the band Ocean Grove. I saw one of their, like, it was probably one of their first Australian tours, and I like told my friend and my mum I was staying at a friend's place that night. We went out to the show at the local youth center, and I remember like they were saying, "Is this anyone's first show?" And I put my hand up. They brought me and this other person on stage. And they're like, "You've ever crowd surfed before? Of course you haven't. It's your first show. You're going to do it this time." And I remember them just like picking us up and throwing us into the crowd. And it was awesome.
That's awesome. That's so fun. Sorry, Mom.
No, she's learnt about that years later. And I think she got over it pretty quickly after we started to take this quite seriously.
Yeah. That's awesome. What's your experience like? I mean, what is Australia, whether government or society, like for like musicians and creative people trying to make, music as a living?
I think that it can be a little bit split. I think there's a lot of, especially nowadays, there's a lot more paths and avenues you can take, which the local governments or like, and even like the like Australian government as a whole can help you out with some like grants and funding. But as well, especially being in New South Wales, there is quite a lot more restrictions when it comes to having these live shows, just with the policing. And you might have seen like there's been like some issues with some artists with not wanting to play shows, and police is not having it because of other things going on. But It's a bit of a mixed bag. I think that if you're really determined, you're able to find the right ways to go through and push through, but it's still not saying you're not going to have any setbacks. There'll definitely be some times where you're like, damn, like, we've been screwed over a little bit here, but I don't ever find it discouraging. I think if anything, it makes me want to just try harder and just say, all right, well, how else can we make this happen?
Yeah. Let's talk about yours truly, how this band gets started.
So it got started when I was doing this like out of school music program where you have like 20, 30 kids playing a set list of songs, and it's different kids on each song. And then at the end of the school term, you play a show to like your friends and family. They make you sell your own tickets to them and stuff. And they have like a concert on in there at their like studios and stuff. And I posted a video online of me playing that. And I got a message from Michaela maybe a couple weeks later, just saying like, hey, I'm starting this band. I'm looking for members. I need a guitarist. And I love that video that I saw of you, because like I'd seen it from like a friend of a friend at school. And from there, I was just like, yeah, absolutely. Like I'll come out for a jam. Like let's see how this goes. And just clicked straight away. Like I remember like walking into that first jam practice, and we were playing Paramore, Misery Business, and some Citizen songs and Basement songs as well. And we just like, it just worked. And from there, just we've both been like 150% committed from that moment onwards.
Nice. What took you from drums to guitar?
I think it was more to do with the availability of like having a rock drum teacher. Everyone that I was able to find was kind of trying to calm me down and tame me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I was kind of learning things myself, and I was like, I don't need a teacher. I can do this myself. And then I was like, this is so easy. I'm going to learn something else. And then I picked up a guitar and never really looked back, to be honest.
Nice.
I still love playing drums. I don't have access to a drum kit, unfortunately. I wish I did still, because I every single day I've still got that itch. I'm always tapping away on my legs. Especially like I'm at the gym, I see people looking at me just like air drumming away. Yeah,
it doesn't go away. Especially as a guitar player, you're like, oh, you hear the beat and you just want to.
Exactly. And the way that I've learned and still play guitar is very percussive. Like, funnily enough, the first kind of like guitarist I really started like listening and wanting to play like was Jack Johnson, because he was so percussive in his playing, and I really enjoyed the way that he made that acoustic guitar sound more than just one instrument. Like it filled everything that you needed.
Yeah. Nice. Where'd the band name come from?
I came up with it when I was just like daydreaming in school. I think it was in English class. The teacher might have said like me reading a passage from a book that had that line, but it just sat in my subconscious, and I just remember just kind of like daydreaming about going on tour or something, and then just like under my desk messaging the band, be like, hey, like what about yours truly? How's that for a band name? Because all the placeholders we had at the time were like so bad, and there's one that almost became the one, and I'm so glad that it did.
Yeah. What led the band then to UNFD Records? I mean, you guys signed relatively quickly after you put that first EP out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of Michaela and I had discussed like from the get-go, like this is the plan. We're gonna do as much as we can, release as much as we can, work as hard as we can, and get noticed by labels, get onto a label, because we could see at the time that was the fastest way to be able to achieve the goals that we had set out for ourselves and be able to get our music to as many people as possible and be able to play shows across the world, because that was the dream. After we put out High Hopes, and that just went crazy. Like, we had no idea. We hit up Dreambound like maybe a week before we had planned to release it, and they were like, we don't normally do this, but we really like this song. We're going to do this for you. And I can't believe that it worked out the way that it did, because we got approached by like a few different of these record labels that we've been looking up to our whole lives. Like, I've always been a massive supporter of Australian heavy music, and I loved UNFD as a whole throughout my teenage years. They were like, basically every band on the label was on my playlist. And when they hit us up, it was a kind of a dream come true. And it was just from there, I guess, just negotiating what was going to be the best for us, and the best for the label in terms of what we can provide them and what they can provide us. And it just turned out that that was the best deal for us to go with, and I couldn't be more happy. I remember at the time I had a guitar with like UNFD and like all their bands, like stickers all over it. So it was like surreal. It was a dream come true to me.
That's rad. You guys put out the EP, and then, you know, the worldwide pandemic happens, and you release Self Care that September of 2020. Was that record just pushed back, or was it like kind of just stuck in this no man's land where it's like, I mean, I guess we're going to put it out now?
No, I don't think for a second we even thought about slowing down. I think because we basically, the day after we finished recording, we found out about all the lockdowns.
Oh, man.
So it was right before it all happened. We just finished recording our first album, and we're like, nah, we're not going to let this stop us. We are going to do everything within our power to make this work and make this happen, because we're not going to let this slip through our fingers. We've worked so hard. Like, we worked so hard on that album. We were doing like 8-10-hour days for like the better half of a month and a half. It was just, we really like put our heart and soul into that, worked to make that just the way we wanted it. And we were just like, no, this is still going to be the way that we want it. And even if it's going to take a little bit longer, it's going to be a little bit harder to do. It's just, never once did we think about pushing anything back unless we absolutely had to, because that was just the time frame that things were getting done at the time. But we just full guns blazing straight, just like the whole way through. Like, every second of the pandemic, I'm pretty sure I was sitting on like computer working on more, trying to figure out ways that we can do things, messaging like local government officials, trying to find out like what exactly we can and can't do, and if we are able to get any sort of exemptions to just be able to be with each other, even if it meant like we were isolating together for periods of time, so we could be in a room practicing doing things together, because there was no stopping us. Like, we just wanted to do it so badly.
I've seen two responses for bands that have put out records like during that initial lockdown phase of just like, we released it, nobody heard it, that record got fucked over, or the people found us because of lockdown and it became a special record for a lot of people for that period of time. What was your experience? You found that like people were discovering your band in that time, because there were not a lot of albums coming out September 2020.
Yeah, I think it was, I think we kind of kept that in mind when we started really getting into the planning of the album, because I guess once we finished recording, we know this lockdown and pandemic it wasn't going to blow over very quickly. So we know we had a bit of time to kind of adjust a few things and be able to make it special for everyone and not just for us. And we really wanted the fans that we had already had to have something special in that time, because we knew there wasn't going to be a lot going on, and it was a big risk that we were willing to take just for the fact that it's like, we need this. We know that there are people out there who will need this, and it will mean a lot to have this come out and be able to have something new, have something fresh in a time where no one's doing anything, no one's able to do stuff. But at the same time, either no one's going to hear it, or because no one else is doing anything, we'll be at the top of the ladder there for everyone. And I think we got a mixed bag of the two. Yeah. I think there was a lot of we got a lot of that hype being like, oh my God, like you did this during that time. Like that's crazy. Like there's nothing else new happening. So we got to be on like the front page of everyone's like feeds and stuff on social media, but then as well, just kind of getting lost in the haze of everything going on in a pandemic.
Right. And depending on where you live, like every day was a different sort of.
Oh my God.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
It sucks. But you guys kept turning. You put out record in 2022. What led to doing the lo-fi version?
We wanted to do something different, and we were still kind of dealing with like little bits of restrictions at that time, and we had this kind of idea to create more of a online world for people, because I guess we learned a lot from releasing that album during the pandemic about how much the online relationship with your fans matters, and creating an online space for people to interact with you and be able to connect with each other as well was a really important thing. And seeing, because we all love listening to lo-fi remixes and playlists like that. Like every member of the band, it's always been a thing that we all love. So we're just like, let's do this. Like, let's give it a shot. Like, it'll be something cool, something different. It's more content for people. It's more stuff for people to listen to. If there are people who don't like listening to our style of music, maybe we can reach out to a broader crowd, be able to bring this to people who maybe wouldn't usually think to pick up a Yours Truly record, as well as have it as like a theme for this online space that we'd created around the EP.
Got my cheek between my teeth. If I bite, I'll taste my blood, it's sweet. Don't wanna feel at ease, so I hang over the street. You wanna be a listener, I really hear you, but have you ever thought of closing your mouth? Still got my tongue between your teeth. If you bite, you taste my blood for free. You want another part of me? Which one do I get to keep?
Your brand new record's called Toxic. Where'd that title come from?
It's come from just the last couple years of just going through some really toxic situations, dealing with toxic people and all of this and that, and just I guess, I don't know. It's more Michaela that's come up with that. She had that conversation with the producer Sam, but I've been on board from the start. From the moment she brought that out, I was like, that's a perfect title to sum up, especially lyrically, what the album's going to be about, and just really the period of time in which these songs were being written and recorded in. It's a really good sum up of how that time had been, and I guess it's kind of, with each album, it's kind of like releasing a lot of stuff off your chest. So being able to just call it what it is, was a really, really nice thing to do, I think.
Nice. Were there things you wanted to try a little differently this record? There are some a few heavier moments on this album. Well, it still feels very much like a Yours Truly record.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we spoke about, from the first kind of moment we said, okay, we're working on the second album now. It's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do differently? Because we're not just going to release the same record over and over and over again. We want to experiment, try different things. And I particularly listen to a lot of heavy music, and so so does everyone else. And we were we listened to this Britney Spears and Deftones cover heaps, and we're like, that's hectic how you've got this kind of heavy guitars with these pop vocals, and somehow making these nasty, filthy riffs just sit with these pop vocals. the mash between the two works so well. And like,
It's so good.
that's
I've
what
heard
we
it.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we like jammed that cover a few times together, and we're just, yeah, we love that combination of just having something heavy for just the pure riffage and like getting that stank face.
Yeah.
But as well as having catchy lyrics that you can sing along to and just be able to sing your heart out to. Anyone can just sing along to in the car. You don't feel like you're destroying your voice trying to scream too much. But yeah, it's that combination of those two things that is kind of been a part of the band always. Like in our first EP in Circles, I remember saying to Stevie, I want chugs in the song. Like there's like that little da-da-da-da part. And I was like, wait, I want to sneak something like that in to a song that you wouldn't particularly hear something like that on. Just like something, a little nod to the heavy community.
Nice. Who did the album artwork?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually can't remember the name. Michaela and our manager Caleb were organizing a lot of that stuff because during a lot of the period of the album recording and just like the making of getting it all together, I was experiencing some really, really bad burnout, as well as some other health issues, and kind of had like I was like stepping away, but I just wasn't able to contribute anything, or like I was in a pretty dark place and a very bad spot for a good 6 months, 8 months or so. So it was a lot of that was kind of done with them, and I just said like, look, I obviously I'm not going to be any help to you guys. I don't want to be dragging anything behind. You know what you're doing. I trust you, because everything that like we've done together is just like we've been on the same page. Like sometimes you don't even need to ask for approval, because I know that like you know what I like, I know what you like, kind of thing. We've been best mates since day dot. So I just said, take the reins. We've got to get this done. You got to do what you got to do, and let's make this happen.
I mean, I'm sure it's got to be tough, because it's like there's this quick rise to the band, and then everything shuts down, and you're just kind of creating in your own bubble, and it's like, you know, you're not out there, and you're not seeing people like the reward, the fruit of all your work. You're just like, it's all online. It's like, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, and especially as soon as we could, we were out of here. We got out towards the end of, we got out of the country in 2021 before anyone else could. We got a government exemption because we got a tour offer for some tours over in the UK, and it was just a dream to be able to do that. And we never stopped. Like, we have worked as hard as we physically can since the day we started this, and I think it all just kind of caught up to me, as well as having COVID on tour, getting it like 3 times back to back, as well as like just trying to do as much as you can, like just being up at like 6 a.m. every morning, going to bed at 2 a.m., just constantly working on yours truly, working on whatever project that we had lined up, and doing that day after day for years. Just, it really just kind of caught up with me. And I guess that I learned that I need to know when to take breaks and take time for myself.
Got self-care, man. You did the whole record.
Exactly. Exactly.
Album's out in a few weeks here, August 16th. What's the rest of this year look like? Are you guys gonna like let the record kind of grow and get out there? Or are you hitting the road this fall?
We are hitting the road straight away. We are going over to the UK and into Europe on our headline tour we're doing over there. We're playing Reading and Leeds Festival as well, and I am so excited. Something that I've been dreaming of since I was a very young kid. And then after we come back, we've got some stuff at home that's not announced yet, so we'll find out about that soon. And then we're off to the States with Enter Shikari and Yumi at 6
Nice.
towards the end of the year. And I'm so excited to come back to the States.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you just play show after show, day after day for like weeks on end, because there's always somewhere to play. You're always doing stuff. And it's just such an awesome like touring culture over there.
Yeah.
Like I remember we did this tour with Pierce the Veil and I Prevail, and it was like our first time being on like a big, like, oh my God, this is the real deal now.
Yeah.
And having like this like crew of 20 people for each band. And we're just getting to see the real full production scale of like how things really run over there. And I fell in love with the kind of the routine of it. And so now every time we get over there, I'm just like, I'm so excited because this is my routine. This is what I love. Wake up in a different place every day, but I'm doing the same thing. So there's like that mix of always something new and exciting, but you still are able to keep that kind of same routine that you've got every day.
Yeah. It was wild. I went to Hawthorne Heights and Amberlin tour last night, and it's crazy thinking about like being a teenager, just going to like shows at like, you know, youth centers and like, you know, everybody's on the floor, to that big like production last night. And it's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. And like you really get like so much more appreciation for how much work really does go into this stuff. Like, not to say that like we didn't really know like what was going on, but it's just kind of seeing it in action, seeing everyone showing up to work every day with just like working their butt off, trying to make this show as perfect as possible. And everyone wants to be there. This is everyone's dream job. And that's awesome. That's what I want to be a part of. I want to be working with people it's their dream to be doing this, and everyone's going to work as hard as each other, work together, and just have an awesome time. Because any downtime you have, you're there with each other. You're stuck shoulder to shoulder, sometimes in a van, sleeping together. Just the camaraderie of it all is such a beautiful part of it as well.